Hello and welcome to Source Peas and Arrows. I'm your host Camille Babin. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. Today I want to take you back to a story that maybe you're already familiar with, and in case you don't, it's okay. You will get to catch up with us today. And it's in the book of Numbers in chapter 13. And this is the story or the account of Moses being told by the Lord to send men into the land that he has promised them. So basically, the Lord, when he took them out of Egypt, he told them that he will give them a land. So they were still in the wilderness, and the Lord promised to give them, to send them to the promised land, right? The land where he said will flow milk and honey. And in that chapter, or at the beginning, we see the Lord now telling Moses, this is who I want you to stand, not specific name, but the leaders of every tribe. So you send one leader from every tribe, the 12 tribes. You send one leader from every tribe, and this is what they should look for. So now Moses gathered the men, he get all the leaders, and he sent them, and that's in the verse 17. And then he tell them, spy out the land of Canaan. You go up that way, show them the way they should go. And he give them specific instructions as what they should look for. And he said, see what the land is like, whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, few or many, whether the land they dwell in is good or bad, whether the cities they inhabit are like camps or strongholds, whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are forests there or not. Be of good courage and bring some of the fruit of the land. So, and that was the time of the Bible says that that's the time of the first ripe grapes. So they went in and they saw the fruits and so forth. So further down, we see the reports of the spies. So there were 12 in total. And we see the reports that they came back with. And that's why today I want to talk about what's on your report card. Because when you send somewhere, you are expected to come back with a report. If you are sent on a mission, if you are sent on an assignment, if you go somewhere, right? Even sometimes I remember when I was a little girl and I would see my sisters get ready and they would go to party. I will wait for them to come back and tell me what happened. I will just, because I wasn't allowed, I was too young. So I will just wait, or I will be sleeping and I will ask them, when you come, make sure you wake me up and you tell me, or in the morning. I was really waiting for them to tell me what happened, who they saw, who wore what happened. I mean, all these different details. And maybe it's been the same for you. But regardless, that's what we always expect. We expect people to go somewhere, to go to a place they've never been, even travel to a country. And then when they come back, we expect to see pictures. We expect them to tell us what happened, the impression of the travel journey, the impression of maybe what's different there. We expect to see through their eyes because they're the one who've been. So I can assume that that's the same expectation or the same anticipation that the people had when they were waiting for the spies to come back. And here they are, they come back after 40 days. So they were sent for 40 days. They spent 40 days there in that land spying. And they came back with the fruit as instructed. And the fruits were very big because the Bible let us know that they needed 2 men to carry a cluster of grapes. So you can imagine, because today you can get the whole bag with just one finger. But they needed 2 men to bring those grapes back. So that will tell you something already. And these men came back, and we see in verse 27, then they gave back the report saying, we went to the land where you sent us. It truly flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. Nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and they started to name the different people that dwell there. And then, they were just basically talking more about the people that were living there than they were giving an account of the land. And immediately Caleb, it was one of the 12 that was sent, he rose up and he started, silencing the people. And he said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, he's saying, it's okay, all of that. Don't listen much to what they're saying. Let's just go and take possession because we're able to do it. We're able to possess the land. We're able to overcome. But the men, because of what they heard, they were not very encouraged. They didn't feel encouraged. They didn't feel like it was the right move to make, because the other 10 were saying, oh no, we can't go against those people. They're very strong. They're stronger than we are. And we can't do it. Basically, they will eat us up. We're just too small in their face. And that's even what they said. They said that they were like grasshoppers in their size. So I'm just going back because, again, I assume it's probably a story that you know. But I want to highlight, because sometimes it's easy for us to read the stories, right, in the Bible. It's easy for us to say, yes, I know this story. I've heard it before. I've been taught that, and we've maybe heard great teaching and sermons on it. But what I felt like the Lord wanted to show me, it was to me first, before I can even release that word, is when I said, what's on your report card? Another word will be, pay attention to the report that you give, or to the account that you give. Because sometimes the Lord will send us to a place we might be the only one to go. And other people will depend on the report that we give to know whether they should obey God or not. You may be the one that God right now is raising up and sending into a place, sending into a situation to assess. And the rest of the people, it can be your family, it can be your friends, it can be your co-workers, whatever it is, they're there waiting for you to come back and bring the report. And based on the report that you give them, they will be able to decide or to determine whether they want to go on or not, whether they will trust God or not. It may be the only report, or it may be the only words that they hear that will lead them into believing God or not, into making the choice to serve Him or not. So we have to pay very attention to the words that come out of our mouth. We have to pay attention to what we speak when we sense, even when you don't know that you're being sent, because sometimes the assignment or the commissioning or the mission will not come in the form of a mission. You may be sent somewhere, but it doesn't look like you're being sent somewhere. What do I mean by that? You may be invited maybe to an event, to a social event, or someone maybe just have a housewarming, and they send you there they invite you to their house, and you go, and for you it's just, oh, my friend just purchased a home, I'm just going for the housewarming. Or they just, bought a car, I'm just going, they want to show me their car, I'm just going. And here you go, and you look at the house, you go there for the housewarming, everybody's having a great time, and you look at the house and everything, and then you come out, and maybe you find yourself in the company of other people, and now you're starting discussing the house that you just visited. And now you start saying things like, yeah, the house is beautiful, the house is big, but I don't know why they spend so much money for one house. I don't even know why they were living in that neighborhood. I don't even know why they decided to put the fireplace this way. If it was me, I wouldn't do it. I would have done it. And this on, it goes on and on. And what you don't realize is, by you saying it, you just failed the test. I have to say it like that because sometimes it's just like that. You just failed the test because you didn't even know that it was a test. Because you didn't even know that the house, it wasn't about the house. It wasn't about them. It was about you. It was about God seeing, testing your heart to know if you're ready for what He has for you, to see where you are, to evaluate even your maturity, your wisdom, your love. Just that. Because you don't even know that it wasn't about the house. It was about the plan that God has for you. Maybe God has promised you a house, or it's in His plan to establish you in that neighborhood or in a community like that, or to have that level of influence, to have that kind of positioning. And there you go. And all you see is the negative. All you bring back is the negativity, is the criticism, is the complaint, is the judgment. And God is watching you and he's saying he's just not ready or she's just not ready. I can't send you to a place that you have no respect for. I can't send you to a place that you have no appreciation for. I can't send you to a place that you find yourself or you're too small for. Your mindset, your thinking, your attitude, your character is just not strong enough for you to be able to handle the pressure that will come. So sometimes God will send you to those places, not because of the people, but because of yourself. Because he's just trying to give you a preview, because that's what he was doing with the spies, to give you a preview of what's to come, to give you an idea of where you will be or what he wants to do with you. But if you're not settled in your heart, if you don't have that heart posture, if you don't have, or your tank, your love tank is not full enough, then you go and you allow bitterness, you allow resentment, you allow envy or jealousy, you allow even lack, because you don't have it, then, you start complaining about or you start criticizing. I've heard people, and maybe I've been one of those in the past. I have to be honest. I'm sure I've done it, and that will also, attest of our immaturity. And we've all been there, and maybe you find yourself there. And that's why I feel like this message is important for you to hear today, because it's not to condemn you, it's not to cast a judgment on you, but it's just so that you can see and understand even the ways of God. It will not be a straight line. The path will not always be straightforward. It will not always be like, okay, I promise you a house, okay, here you go, this is your house. No, sometimes God will cause you to stand in the gap with someone else, believing for something that you believing for yourself. You have to pray that for someone. You have to cheer them on. You have to really kind of I don't want to say forget about yourself, but in a sense that's what you're called to do sometimes. Put your own needs aside and just join hands with someone else, believing and pressing on for the very thing that you're believing for yourself. I remember a few years ago, we were standing on the promise to buy our own house, and it was hard because it was very challenging. It was such a difficult time of our life, not because we were waiting for to buy our house, but because of what was coming with it. Before we bought our house, the Lord has asked us to start packing already. So we had all our stuff in boxes, everything. And it's like week after week, I had to remove, family photos on the wall, picture frames and paintings and art wall. And curtains, it was everything. And for me, I'm very much into home decor. I love, my home to look good. I love to just have nice things, and living like it's like I wasn't out of the house anymore, but I didn't feel at home. So I really felt like it was a season where we were in a wilderness season. I felt like I lost my footing. I lost my balance. It's like I wasn't in the house. It wasn't my house no more. But then I wasn't in the new house. So it's like I still had things that I needed sometimes that were in the box, because there were so many things. And it wasn't because I was impatient. It's because I was obeying the Lord, because he said, pack up, pack up. So I started to pack. And it took us over a year, I think almost 2 years. We lived like that for almost 2 years, at least 18 months, a year and a half, living like that. And I can't even imagine. But anyway, in that same moment, in the same, transition period for us, I had a friend that I was standing in the gap for. Basically, she didn't even dream of owning a house before. And I was used by the Lord to plant that seed in her heart and to nurture it. I didn't just plant it. I felt like I planted the word, and she started to believe that she was able to own a house one day. And then I walked with her through the process, and I stood in the gap with her, and I prayed with her and believing and going through the steps until she got her keys to the house. And I still didn't have my house. I was still living in boxes. And I was crushed. I was crushed. I won't lie. I was crushed. I was happy for her, but I was crushed because I was like, oh my goodness, how come I'm praying for someone, for something. I'm the one. She didn't even believe she would get a house before, one day. And I believe with her, and I spoke that into her heart. And here she goes with her house, and here I am without my house. But then the Lord really drew my attention, and He highlighted that before me. And I realized that, Camille, the way you will steward this season of your life will determine how you will enter the next. The way you position yourself, or the way you appreciate, or you stand even with other people in the joy season, the joyful season, in the season of reaping, in the harvesting moment, will determine what your harvest will look like. And I had to clap and shout and dance and praise the Lord for my friend. We even went to a house and prayed over the house there. And she lived in another state. And we went there for the holidays and prayed over the house. And speak blessing over her. And I did that with all my heart. And then sure enough, before the year was over, the Lord led us to our home. And I'm saying that today because I've realized that there are many things. It may not be a house. It may not even be, like something material. It may just be believing for a child. It may just be believing maybe for healing. You need healing in your body, and yet you have to stand in the gap for someone else, that is sick. And while you ask God, like, what about me? And He's saying, just learn how to rejoice for them. Just learn how to stand in the gap with them. Yours is coming. And that's what I felt like the Lord was highlighting to us, asking, what's on your report card? What report are you giving? What are you saying? What are you speaking? Are you speaking negatively of the people that He allows you to see, to meet, to connect with? Are you bringing a negative report from the places that He allows you to enter? I've seen and I've heard people criticizing, like, why do they need this kind of car? Why do they need this private jet? Why do they need? But then you don't understand that God is allowing you to see those type of people, to get in close proximity with them. Because He wants you to learn something, because He wants you to glean from them. He wants you to see already, to have a feel of what it is. But you're so closed up. You just, you shut everything down and you say, no, I don't know. I don't understand why they need. It's not about what they need. It's about what God is speaking to you. It's about what God is bringing to you. And it may be a job. Maybe you wanted that position and you didn't get it. You were bypassed. You were overlooked, or that's how it fell to you. And someone else got it. And now they come to you and they say, can you please help them? They just, getting situated. Maybe, they, instead of hiring you, they hire someone from outside, and then they bring that person that's supposed now to be your boss. And you felt like that was supposed to be my position. I've been working for that company for such and such years. And now they ask me to train them. Now they ask me to show them, like, if they didn't know the job, why they, and we can be like that sometimes. We can be, sarcastic. We can be even nasty about it, not realizing that God is just testing your heart, bringing that person, in the same position that you feel like you were qualified for. And it will reveal your true self. It will reveal if you're ready for it or not. It will show you if you're worthy to have the position, or maybe why you didn't get the position. But on the other hand, God is expecting you to show them the rope and say, you know what, God, if that's the position I wanted to have, but you have someone else, then I'm still going to help them until my time comes. And you help them and you show them, you give them everything that they need. You really set them up to succeed instead of watching and waiting for them to fail. And then I promise you, God will give you greater than what you were even asking and praying for. Because I look at further down, the story, you see the other two. It doesn't take that many. It doesn't take that much. It really doesn't. There were only 2 out of 12 people that were sent. There were 2, Caleb and Joshua. And they stood and they said, oh no, we are well able. God can do that for us. They started describing the land, and it felt like it was a different land than the other 10 I've seen. He started saying, that the land is exceedingly good. And if the Lord delights in us, then He will bring us into this land and give it to us. A land that flows with milk and honey. That's all they talk about. They were not even concerned about the people. All they cared about was, let us please God. if God delights in us, if God is pleased with us, if God is satisfied with our hearts, if God finds us qualified, that's all that matters. And I just want to tell you in this hour that God is just checking your heart. God is not concerned about the people that are there. He's not concerned about the magnitude or the difficulty or the impossibility of the situation. He's concerned about your heart. Are you still seeing God in the things that you're living, in the situation that you're going through, in your circumstances? Are you still able to say, regardless of what I'm going through, God, I just want to please you. I just want to find favor in your eyes. God, show me how I can stand until you can take me there. And sure enough, I just want to fast forward and wrap this up. Sure enough, we see in the next chapter, you see in the next chapter how the Lord was able. No, actually, not the next chapter. I'm sorry. In the next, the following story in the book of Joshua, Joshua 14, and it's later. You see, it's 40 years later. And you see the same Caleb that stood up and that said, don't listen. We can take the land. We can enter in possession of the land because God is with us. Is the same one now that comes back. And he said to Moses, he said, surely Moses told us, he come to Joshua and he said, Moses told us, he made a promise that where our foot will tread upon, the land will be given to us as an inheritance. And he kept on going, and he said he recalled, what happened. And he said that this is what happened. We wandered in the wilderness. And now here I am this day, 85 years old, 85 years old. As yet, I am as strong this day as on the day that Moses sent me. Just as my strength was then, so now is my strength for war. It's basically saying, what I thought then, I still think it today. What I saw then, I still see today. It hasn't changed because my God hasn't changed. So what he said then, I know that it's still true today. So then he goes on to say, my strength was then, so now is my strength for war, both for going out and for coming in. Basically saying, I can still go to that land and I will come out victoriously. I will still go to the place that God has promised to me, and I will come back with the promise. Then he goes on to verse 12, and he said, now therefore, give me this mountain of which the Lord spoke in that day. And sure enough, verse 13, Joshua blessed him and gave Hebron to Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, as an inheritance. That became his inheritance. 40 years later, Caleb was able to walk in with his promise, to walk out with his inheritance. He was able to go. Why? Because his reports remained the same. Because he didn't waver, because he embraced and espoused, even he exemplified the character and the nature of God. Caleb has embodied the true nature of God. The God who changes not. He said, God said it then, and it's still true today. God promised then, and the promise is still true today. I was strong then, I'm still strong today. What I saw then, I don't care how many years have passed by. I don't care what I've been through. I don't care what, things have come. I've seen my fellow citizen. I've seen them fall. I see the people of my generation die. I've seen them, be buried. I see them forsake that inheritance. But I will not do so. I will stand on the word of God. I will make sure that my report remains the same because God is true. God is faithful. His faithfulness and his promises, they endure forever. And that's really what I want to leave you with today. I want you to remember that God is faithful. I want you to remember that he who promised will never fail. I want you to remember that it doesn't matter what it looks like today. It doesn't matter how long you had to wait. It doesn't matter if everybody, just went before you. It doesn't matter if, they just asked or they just started and how come they're going ahead of me? How come, they're passing me by? How come they get what they asked for and I'm here and I've been serving for many years and I've been believing for many years and I still don't see anything? I dare you today. I really challenge you today to stand in the same position. as if it was the day that God promised you that thing. Stand as if it was the same day, even if times have passed by. Just stand and refuse to let your report change. Refuse to let your words speak negatively of where God is taking you. And sometimes it will mean that you have to go and see that happen for someone else. And how will your heart be? How will you behave? Will you be filled with jealousy and hatred? Will you be filled or consumed with comparison and jealousy and bitterness and resentment? Or are you going to be filled with love and excitement and joy and praise to the Lord, because you know that the same God who did it for them will be able to do it for you because he promised. So I pray God blessing over you. And I thank you for listening to me today. And I hope that you will be connected next week as well, God willing. If he gives me a word, I will be back next week. So God bless you. Have a great week.